RTD Live Talk, Detroit's number one YouTube talk show. We are live for a Monday edition of the People's Talk Show. Looking forward to connecting and finding out what's on your radar. Lots of things developing in the news around the world. So looking forward to sharing some articles as well as getting your take on what's happening. So welcome to the community. For those that might be new, welcome. I want to definitely give you a chance to let your voice be heard when the phone lines open up. So feel free to call 313-462-0027. And also, let me know via chat where you're watching from. We'd love to give you a quick shout out if you would like. So, lots of things happening. Wow, where do we start? And as always, I want to make sure I give everybody a chance to get a chance to share your thoughts. So, as always, throw out some topics, some subject matter in the chat. We'll definitely try to jump on it as we move forward with this live stream here. But just want to jump right through to some of the main stories here. Basically, just filter through some of the noise or whatnot and get your thoughts on it. So I'll check in real quick. We got BK Trinity 1 checking in. We got BC Matrix in the building. Barlight Broker. We got Alan checking in as well. We got Patriot Star 777. MW3516405 checking in as well. Oh, we got Robert. Says going to be a lot of people owing taxes because of those stimulus check payments. We got George. We got Mark. Keep it moving. Okay. Fair amount of people here. As always, for those that are plugged in, if you don't mind, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, show your support for the channel. Hopefully the algorithms will notify a few more people. And then also hit the notification bell if you want to stay plugged in when we do go live. So Barlight Broker says 2K Gold, definitely. That was, that definitely was an interesting story that unfortunately didn't make the headline news outside of all the doom and gloom. And of course, the global market, equity markets are having their issues. So to be expected. Morgan, how you doing, my friend? Appreciate you. Okay, so let me jump into some headlines, share my 2 cents on some things, and then open up the phone lines and get your take on what's going on. But outside of the sanctions and the continuous closing off of Russia, some of the concerns that I don't think is really being touched on much. It happens to be about the debt and the fact that there's a lot of expected payments coming out of Russia or supposed to come out of Russia right now. But it's my opinion that due to sanctions as well as all the other stuff that's coming and the asset seizures and whatnot, I believe that the Western nations, predominantly led by the G7 nations that's pressuring all countries to impose these sanctions or whatnot on Russia, they're deliberately trying to go for a Russian debt default, which, of course, would have a whole line of dominoes to fall from that. But I think deliberately they're trying to force a sovereign debt default in the country of Russia, basically just downgrading them. All the rating agencies have already downgraded them to pretty much junk status. But then there's billions of funds. I think I saw something closer to $500 billion, or I'm sorry, or $250 billion rather, worth of funds is parked in all the central banks around the world as far as their foreign reserves. And I really believe they want to seize those reserves. So that's why they're going to try to force Russia into default. So I'll share some articles or whatnot. But anyway, let me just jump right in. It says we got Ogi, if I'm not saying that incorrectly. How you doing, my friend? It says our neighbor is Russia. So feel free to let me know what you're seeing on the ground there as far as what the narrative is coming from your side. Would definitely love to hear a different perspective because the Western media, of course, is giving us their spin. And we know, how fake the news can really be on this side. So will be interesting to hear another perspective of what's happening based upon your area. So feel free to let me know. It says, will Russia be the next Zimbabwe? TGO. According to the mainstream news, sure. I saw an article over here talking about Morgan Stanley says that Russia can be the next Venezuela style debt default of a nation. I think, of course, the narrative, what they're telling us, what's happening in reality is two different things. Sure enough, on the surface, not paying your debt in this magnitude would be a problem. But yet I think it's all a part of the plan. And so Russia, Putin, and everybody is behind all that, what's happening over there. They're aware of what they're doing. They know what's at stake. And they are willing to subject their own people, I think 140 or so million Russian people, to this type of pain thinking about the long-term outlook of them trying to restructure the entire monetary order. So I think this current pain pales in comparison to their long-term viewpoint of the system that they want to usher in as a result of all this chaos that's being thrown our way. So sure, it could probably, in dollar terms, because all the debt that they're really concerned with is the Russian debt that they owe in dollar terms. I don't think they'll mind letting that default just because they're trying to get away from the dollar. So I think at the end of the day, this is all deliberately happening to basically shift the world towards some other type of structure. And also curious to get your thoughts on the video I did yesterday with the Russian payment or whatnot, and Union Pay and mere payment of cards or whatnot that, of course, I think Putin already has in his possession. But anyway, enough rant. Let's just get into some stories here. And then feel free to call in when the phone lines open up to share your thoughts or whatnot. All right. So got a little mint in my mouth. Let me take this mint out. It's hard to chew a mint and talk at the same time. Forgive me. All right. So let's get to some headlines, and then we will make it work from there. All right. So here's something that caught my attention just because it talks about the current global commodity market boom and it being at pretty much historic levels based upon, of course, the title I gave this video here. And I'm going to show you some graphs and whatnot to show how that is, because everyone's feeling a pinch, especially at the gas pump. We have all these historical highs speaking, and yet we really haven't seen anything in comparison to where they're going, in my opinion. But here's a little headline I'll share with you briefly. This is from a foreign source, but quite telling us the current interworkings of the financial system when it comes to this commodity boom that's underway. But it says war and sanctions up in global commodity markets. And so it just talks about global commodity markets are tightening as a result of the Bloomberg Commodity Spot Index continues to reach fresh record highs. And it's a great article just talking about the interconnectedness of all the systems between Europe, Russia, oil, things like that. But one thing I want to highlight here is it says a global. Let me zoom in so you guys can see it, because this builds into what I'm going to talk about more of in a moment. But I'll make this big as I can if I can get it on here. It says global commodity markets are tightening, and as a result, the Bloomberg Commodity Spot Index continues to reach fresh record highs. The stunning 9.4% surge this past week is the biggest since 1974, when the OPEC oil embargo triggered in 1973-1974 oil shock. Looking at the futures curves, we find that most of the majority commodity futures are seeing a rising backwardation. That's what I want to touch on. A gauge which helps measure the market's concerns about shortfalls and the higher price buyers are willing to pay for immediate delivery compared with the delivery at a later date. And so I know a lot of people out there who focus on the futures market, in particular with gold and silver, talk about backwardation and how basically the price at this current moment with gold, by almost hitting $2,000. And given the current economic conditions between the war narrative as well as the sanction narrative, market participants are expecting future prices to continue to surge rather. So all the underlying futures contracts, in particular with gold, silver, we're going to see more people looking to take delivery like never before, given the uncertainty of what the prices might be in the months and definitely the years ahead. So that type of activity there will continue to drive up the commodities sector, therefore putting more pressure on oil prices, and as well as the wheat futures contracts, all-time highs, you name it, it's already at all-time highs. So the need to get physical or get possession of your items now is going to continue to surge, which will only drive prices that much higher in the near future. So that right there gives you an idea as to what's happening. And then here's an article here that was really in depth. I'd encourage you guys to read it if you're interested. But it says, we could be looking at the earliest stages of a classic liquidity crisis. And this is playing into the whole commodity surge and all of the potential margin calls that are just taking place right about now, given the fact that a lot of people have been profiting or using the margin side of things to trade against all these futures or whatnot, and how it makes it very complicated to meet obligations when the sanctions are causing the ripple effect of debts not being repaid back. So a lot of issues with people being able to have, as it says here, the types of collateral as well as opportunity to remain liquid is becoming problematic in this current environment due to debt. And I want to share with you this visual aid here. to let you know what we're up against when it comes to this historic commodity boom. And so this is a visual aid from that same thing here, but this is that weekly change in the Bloomberg's commodity spot index, which if you guys can see to the very far right, it's just one blip referring to last week blip. But it's good to say moving forward, we're going to see all-time highs like never before. And when it comes to gold and silver, you can continue to expect some type of market slam down just because they cannot afford to lose control of gold and silver, no matter how many nations are running towards those two particular items there. But this chart goes back towards 1960-ish, and we've never seen anything this high according to what's being displayed here. So it's literally just a matter of time before something breaks. And the manipulation when it comes to using the futures contracts and whatnot is upended, in my personal opinion. But curious to get your thoughts, so feel free to share your thoughts on that as well. And let's keep it moving. When you talk about the commodities boom, I want to just pull up some stuff here that I was keeping an eye on earlier, so I'll try to zoom in. But let me show. So this is what the current market activity in the agriculture sector. So wheat, as of right now, just in the last week, up 50%, 1294. And I saw somebody post that when wheat in particular becomes unaffordable, especially in emerging markets, that's how civil unrest and i.e. Arab Springs type of events occur. And in particular in the Middle East, in Europe, definitely Africa, South America, the nations that are already struggling with being over indebted, and on top of the fact that they don't have access to be able to supply food for their own people, we can see a lot of unrest coming in the very near days ahead. But we got corn is up 14%, sugar up 9%, lumber up 9%, soybean up 8.5%. So literally, if you look to the far right of this screen, as far as the overall year performance, we're already at astronomical numbers in these particular areas here. Not to mention the gold and silver side of things is up right now. And take it to look in the UK, natural gas, as of the last week, is up 125% at 501 British pounds. Like, imagine that. You know, that's some unbelievable price action right there as far as the unaffordability, if that's word, as far as people's gas bills as we enter into spring. So there'll be a little bit of relief there. But just look at these charts here, man. This is a commodity boom cycle that I'm talking about. This is historic, which I believe is just the beginning. But of course, let's keep moving right along. We can't help but not talk about gold and silver. So let me just jump down here real quick and share what's happening in that space as well, because I did tweet about that last night. And very, very, very interesting to see gold hit 2,000 in the futures market. Then, of course, it got slammed down. But as of right now, we're approaching that $2,000 mark again. And according to this little graph here, it's right on the cusp of $2,000 an ounce. So that's quite interesting. But yet silver got up to 26, I think 26.20 or so, and got slammed down. So the suppression will continue until it cannot. But in the meantime, can you actually go out and get an ounce of gold for $2,000? No, because the premiums are going up significantly. All right, let's keep it moving. A couple more things here I'm going to touch on. So I started talking about the whole debt side of things and how I believe the sanctions they've already been exposed as being used as a weapon against Russia, because the obvious objection is to make sure Russia crumbles and try to regime change in Russia. And I don't think Russia is really concerned with the fact whether they can or can't make do with their debt, just because they're literally working on, in my opinion, a much bigger plan, and it has to do with the whole de-dollarization process and all the things that will be needed to usher in a new system. And of course, along the way, there's going to be a lot of chaos and pandemonium. But to move forward, here is something I think we're going to be hearing more about, because one man's debt is another person's asset. And so as Russia is put in a position where, because of sanctions and their non-activity in the SWIFT system, there's going to be more concerns over whether or not they can make their debt obligations, which is due around this time frame. And we'll find out what they're willing or not willing to do, whether or not they're going to try to punish the world by not repaying some of those obligations or what. We're going to find out. But here's a little article here. It says Russia warns sovereign bondholders that payments depend on sanctions. So ultimately, because of you removing our activity, our inability to flow freely within the financial realm, that makes it hard for us to actually pay you what we owe you. So we're going to see if you're willing to suffer the losses by acting foolishly. And so actually, I'll go to this next article here. This has more to do with Russian government approves a list of unfriendly countries and territories. And so these are all the nations that have signed on to the sanctions list. And so, of course, led by the United States, Canada, EU, UK, and all the islands, Caribbean islands. We got Ukraine, Montenegro, Switzerland, Albania, a whole list of countries that have signed on to this sanction Russia, the death narrative. And so basically in this article here, they're saying that the only way we're going to pay you is if we pay you in the Russian ruble. And so that's kind of like, if we even have some dollars, we're not going to use them right now for this. We're going to force you to take our currency as a like a little dig back at you for the destruction that you're doing to our currency. And so we'll find out if the Western nations that are on this sanction list here, if they're willing to allow Russia to pay back in the ruble, therefore hurting the creditors that gave those funds to that actually bought the Russian debt, because it's going to create a spiraling effect where the debt will continue to be problematic, therefore defaults, therefore all those creditors out there that's exposed to the Russian liabilities. That's somebody asset on this side of the world, i.e. our pension companies. As I mentioned last week, how a lot of pension companies are trying to get out of Russian debt. And of course, the EU is saturated with Russian debt. So lots of problems, because non-performing debt basically means somebody's getting shafted because they think it's their asset in their portfolio. So I think this is a part of the greater plan of literally letting the markets implode due to the debt issue. So, but we'll find out how it plays out. And then keep it moving. Here is just more information here about the whole debt side of things. This article here just shows how Morgan Stanley says Russia's set for Venezuela-style default. And so basically, as of right now, the price action in the bond market is dwindling down, and people are literally losing pennies on a dollar, or going to get pennies on a dollar. But it talks about here, non-payment could be tied to Russia's unwillingness to pay foreign creditors because of sanctions, as I just mentioned. So we'll find out if they become basically, if they actually have the first sovereign debt crises since, I think it's at 1918 here. So we'll find out. But that denominated in dollars, I'm sure Russians are the Russians not truly pressed about that, because they're willing and waiting on the continuation of these sanctions to roll out, so they can probably come out with that gold-backed something or another in the near future. And then speaking of which, let me share with you just something I was keeping an eye on earlier this week, and it has to do with the fiat currency game. So ultimately speaking, everything we're witnessing as far as the issues, and of course the hashtag stock market crash was trending out of India because their markets are tanking. Of course, all indices here in the U.S. is down, to be expected. And we all know that they're denominated in fiat currencies of all these different nations. And I was actually going through the list of currencies, in a sense, compared to what has been pegged or labeled as the current reserve currency. And so here you have the Russian ruble against the U.S. dollar. And I'm using the U.S. dollar as kind of like the benchmark or the standard to compare all these other fiat currencies, because that's ultimately how the world works when it comes to measuring their fiat currencies against the dollar or the Dixie or whatever. But as you guys can see, within the last month, the Russian ruble, relatively stable prior to then, just crashed. And of course, we know that compared to the dollar, if you have dollars converted back to rubles, you've gained some purchasing power potentially. And so I typed in a variety of all the currencies in the EU is going down. It's being debased against the dollar. We got the British pound is weakening against the dollar all the way down. And there's two particular currencies, or three actually. The Australian dollar is a little bit on the strong side compared to the U.S. dollar. And then, of course, China. The Chinese yuan is also relatively strong to the dollar. So, and the most important one happens to be gold. And so when you look at gold compared to when you measure the dollar against gold, as if gold was a standard, as you guys can see here, it looks similar to all the trajectories of all the other fiat currencies, but it's all measured against whatever you set as a benchmark or the standard. And so for all the fiat currencies out there measured in dollar terms, they're trending down. But yet when you measure the dollar against gold, which is the standard, it is trending down as well. So it's just more of a important point to determine, I'm trying to say this. It's not how you measure something, is more so what it's measured against. And of course, the fiat Federal Reserve notes measured against gold, as you guys can see here, is trending down. And that's going to continue on because in actuality, the fiat price of gold will go up. So just something right there to keep in mind. But anyway, let's open the phone lines. Let's talk. I got a couple more things here. So Scorch Tastebud says perspective, 100%. All right, so let's talk. Let's open the phone lines. I got 3 or 4 more artists I can touch on, but I'll spare you guys the headache. But let's go. Give me a call. What else is on your radar out there? Feel free to let me know. Curious to see what you guys will keep an eye on. And, of course, I can't help but touch on gasoline prices. I noticed right now, I think I typed in gasoline prices in a search box, and this is what popped up. So let me refresh this. I typed in gas prices skyrocket. And, of course, in every currency, every state, Michigan, we got the tri-state, we got Las Vegas, we got Russia, Ukraine, you name it. So gas prices seems to be the primary focal point of the mainstream news. And, of course, they're saying because of Russia or Ukraine, but it was already trending up well before then. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, it's low blood pressure, Corpus Christi. How's it going, Mike?
Doing good, LBP. What's on your mind, my friend? Give me a quick thought.
Okay, look at all these Russians that maxed out their Visa MasterCards and bought gold and silver. They don't have to pay it back, Mike.
Yeah, that's the way it's looking as of now.
Dude, I'm in the wrong country, Mike. I should have been out there.
Man. So the people who probably did that ahead of time, but also I read that the MasterCard Visa card situation, I think they're still good up until the expiration date of those cards. So it's kind of a different narrative we're being given, but ultimately, they're going to have a lot of defaults well beyond just credit card debt. So that's just one of many defaults coming.
When are we going to get sanctioned? I got a lot of bills I don't want to pay, Mike.
Yeah, so that's a whole other ballpark, man, because based upon the current trajectory of all these commodities going through the roof, that in of itself feels like a sanction. You know what I'm saying? Just the consumer price of these items when you go buy them, you're getting sanctioned at the gas pump, ultimately speaking. So it's going to be a trade-off, I think. But yet, I think the actual price at the pump and price on the shelves will probably definitely trend higher than gold and silver prices at this current moment until something breaks. So be patient, my friend. Enjoy the fact that silver and gold ain't took off just yet, because it still gives you a chance to actually give it to get some more if you want, man.
Yeah, Mike, like it's like on purpose. The grains, the quarter or a third of the grains coming from that area.
Right.
It's a little too convenient. All these things going on.
Right. Very true. And so it definitely shows that this is part of a coordinated plan, because none of this is just accidental, just happening by circumstance. So yeah, man. But hey, appreciate you calling, man. Get some more calls there.
All right, Mike. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, be good. Hello, caller. Where you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
How you doing? Who am I speaking with?
My name is we're gonna go with Wilbur for right now.
Wilbur.
Dude, I can't believe I got through. Hey man, I just want to let you know, gas. I'm in the Baton Rouge, Louisiana area. First time caller, long time listener.
Appreciate you.
And I want to say that gas is like I put 89 in my car, and it was $4.25 the other day, dude.
Uh-huh.
I had never seen such a price,
Yeah.
And I just want to let you know, like, there's a couple of articles circulating on the internet about Bill, I ain't gonna say his name, but Gates of Hell, talking about locking down the seeds. I don't know if you heard of that.
I have not.
And
no.
he bought all this farmland. I'm in Louisiana, right?
Yeah.
And so he's locking down the farmland, and then he's locking down the seeds. Mm-hmm. And so now Russia, a lot of our main trading partner, believe it or not, is Russia in Louisiana, and it's because of the fertilizer for all the farmland here.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, I'm gonna let you think about it, talk about it, and get some more calls in. But I'm just throwing that out there real quick. I mean, Mm-hmm. You factor Bill Gates, mm-hmm. you factor the Russian situation, and you factor in the farmland, and you factor in the food of America. And I'm just saying, man, something weird's going on, something bad's coming. I'm just letting you know, man. I'm gonna go ahead and get off. I'm gonna listen off air, man. I'll see you later. Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you calling and sharing that, my friend. Thank you.
All right.
Hello, caller. Where you calling from?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Doing good, my friend. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Bert. I'm calling from Philly.
Philly, what's going on, my friend? Give me a quick thought.
Quick thought. I just want quick advice and stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm looking to refinance, but not take the money out on the rates. Should I do it because of what's going on right now?
Man. So that's that question there. It's a loaded question because as of right now, I'm not saying you missed the most ideal time frame to refinance, which would have been about a year or two ago when things were relatively extremely lower, rather. But yet rates definitely could continue to climb up. But then again, we're also heading into an environment where a lot of analysts are talking about a housing correction, and so it's like it's all subject to a lot of other of your circumstances beyond that. But my personal opinion is I'm just riding out this wave here because I think for the next year or two we might have that correction of housing prices. Therefore, it's going to be a lot of it's going to be a flood of houses out there, and depending on your financial situation, you might have opportunities to do some things to reshuffle the deck a little bit in your own favor. So my personal opinion is I wouldn't really be doing anything of that magnitude. I'll be using any disposable cash I have, especially if you're not pulling nothing out to use it for benefiting yourself, as far as getting your weight up and nothing like that.
I'm not even going to think about taking no money out.
Right.
You understand? I was thinking about just locking the rate because I'm already locked at a higher interest rate, so I'm just trying to see if I can get that low interest rate.
If you can get it lower than what you have now, sure. But I mean, more than my guess would be probably, is it higher? Is your current rate now higher than what you originally took it out for?
No.
So if you can get that lower one, then it's worth a try. But me personally, I'm riding it out, man. That's just me.
Brother, I love you, man. Keep pushing our words, man. You told me about the bricks. You understand? I ain't for my brothers and stuff. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you, my man. Thank you. And once again, that's just my opinion. So feel free to chime in with the community and see what else they might think. We might have more real estate gurus out there. They might give you some good advice or good opinions as well. So none of this is advice; it's just opinions.
That's what's up, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Yep. Thanks a lot, bro.
Thank you.
All right.
Hello, caller. Where you calling from?
What's going on, Mike? This is Dwayne from the Midwest. What's going on?
Dwayne from the Midwest. Doing good, my friend. Give me a quick thought. What's on your mind?
Man, what did I tell you, man? Didn't I tell y'all, man? We was last. We probably don't remember we had so many shows, but I said that food was an asset class.
Oh yeah, now I remember that. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Food is an asset. Food is an asset class. And what these people don't know, man, like, what did we see? Like, when I actually had this thought, I want to get your thought on this. When we decided to exile Russia, and they were tied to our system,
right?
In essence, we decided to exile stability in our economy because with their economy, they have the oil, they have the grain, they have gold, they have silver.
Right.
So that was kind of like a derivative, even though we didn't have it in our possession. By them operating our economy, that gave us like access to that. So by you exiling them, that sends the economy unstable. Even Jamie Dimon says it's going to give them an opportunity to develop something else.
Right. Very
what
true.
are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree 100%, man. And clearly we can tell it's deliberate, just because if you look at just the oil market right now and how Biden decided to shut down all operations within our own country, and now he's talking about sending a representative over there to beg for more oil to be put out there. So literally, it just shows how everything was intentional, man. Like cutting off Russia it causes some pain, no doubt, as I mentioned, but yet it causes more pain beyond those borders there because the world has been used to it being interoperable and everybody working together. especially on the debt side, as well as all the stuff that comes from Russia, because they're one of the wealthiest, naturally rich, or pieces of land out there. So it just shows how deliberate everything is. And so it's just, it never is contained in one area, man. It always ripples right on through. Now, right now, India is having some issues as well because of the Russian contagions is spreading. So yeah, man, we know how it goes.
Yeah, and then too, I'm gonna say this and I'll get off. I think this had something more to do with the pressure on the food prices as a whole. Like you said, they needed a cover story.
Yeah.
This Russia's the cover story with the because we haven't been getting the crops that we needed to do with the rain and stuff in all these areas, and then with them buying up suppressors. So this is a perfect cover story. So I totally agree with you, Mike.
100%, man.
That's all I got to say, man.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in.
Man.
Yep, appreciate it. Hello, caller. Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, this is Mike from Pacoima, California.
Mike from Cali, what's going on, my man? Give me a quick thought. What's on your mind?
It's just this WEF, the World Economic Forum going on. Yeah. All this bull happening. You know, man. It's quite a comedy show. Just watching it. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if you've seen what happened in Mexico at the soccer stadium. It was quite tragic.
Something recent?
Yeah, it just happened like a couple of days ago.
I did not
look it up. It's actually quite terrible. Quite terrible. Man, okay. It was like a big old riot. People were fighting. But those images that I seen at that soccer stadium were 10 times worse than anything I've seen coming out of Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You got both sides of the party, but they're both on the same team.
Right.
you got Ukraine, you got the WEF in Ukraine, and we all know Putin is a little buddy boy of Klausy boy, whatever the hell his name is. So just watching it unfold, it's all theater. Yeah. It's all bread and circus.
Yeah.
It's another way to divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Like, sadly, unfortunately, these things have real repercussions in the real world.
Right.
And I strongly recommend getting your garden up, getting your food weight up, get all the weight that you can of whatever you can, physical, tangible.
Right. Hey, man, I agree, man. Good point. Yeah. And also, I put that little article up here on a screen about the whole soccer match because I wasn't even aware of it. So it's just one of many other events happening worldwide that definitely, just plays into the narrative of just the more and more fear out there in the news, man. But appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for calling in.
No problem. You have a good one. Keep your weight up.
You too. Will do, man. You know how I do it. Be good.
That's right.
Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Chip from Berkeley, California.
Chip from Cali. Mike. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind? Give me a quick thought.
Hey, yeah. So caller asked about real estate earlier.
Yeah.
There's a YouTuber, you might have known him. His name is Economic Ninja.
Yeah.
He brought up a really good strategy for what's about to come. Because if one thinks the real estate market is about to correct, looks like there's something that you can kind of trade up pretty easily. Mm-hmm. So usually, if a home goes down, let's say 30%, like $1 million home would actually go down farther. Mm-hmm. So like 50 or 60.
Yeah.
So if someone has a good property and they have a good job, everything else is being covered. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are going to be fearful.
Right.
But if you're in the mindset, you can actually trade up. So a lot of people considering trading up to a larger property that maybe larger acreage. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can have a ADU renting out a unit.
Yeah.
So you provide income. But the cool thing is you don't have to sell the old one possibly.
Right.
So if you have a good, you can buy up to that new one, rent out the old one because the home that you're currently have because the rents go up.
Yeah.
Because at the 2008 crash, rents actually did go up, even during a downturn, because more people are looking for rentals.
Right.
So if someone's locked into a higher interest rate, maybe that's a strategy just to get through with actual income producing real estate.
Right. Hey, good stuff, man. Thanks for sharing that. As always, it's good to get different perspectives on what's happening out there. So, and then one of my concerns is, man, just moving forward as the economic and financial conditions within this country become more strenuous for a lot of people. The idea of like having real estate as an investment vehicle in an environment where, if unemployment is a major issue at some point, like it will be, the affordability of people being able to actually maintain those payments. So if at some point rents will have to come down just because it might become unaffordable for the average Joe, given the landscape of the labor market. So it's one of the things where I've seen people say, because of what we're experiencing now and what's coming, we've never witnessed in its entirety the way it is coming together, that, real estate may not be the best investing vehicle just because if nobody's in it paying you something, you still got to pay property taxes. That's definitely going to go up, and all the other debt that comes with that. So once again,
oh yeah, absolutely.
It's
really good points.
It's
Mike.
hard to navigate, man. But hey, appreciate you calling, my friend.
Oh yeah, we're in uncharted territory.
Right.
So best of luck to you and everybody else here.
Same to you, my friend. Thanks for calling in.
Bye.
Yep. Yeah, good stuff, man. That's the thing. Like it's so many different angles of how to look at this. Just because this experience is not, in my opinion, going to be just a quick fly by night. We're next year everything's go back to normal. Like you see what they're deliberately trying to do. They're trying to reset everything. That whole fourth turning. Or the Industrial Revolution that they're trying to create, it's a long, drawn-out process. And I think along with that comes their deliberate changing of the rules when it comes to property rights. We're witnessing how right now around the world, the G7 nations have come together and saying that the oligarchs who've gotten the billionaires next to Putin that have gotten wealthy off of supporting Putin and all the other stuff from their past, their assets are now ours, and they're literally confiscating property without due process or no real explanation other than the fact that we just said we're going to do it. And if they can do it to the billionaires, what would make you think that they couldn't do it to your average mom and pops? Like I'm hearing about what's happening out in Cali with the, Newsom and all those guys starting to just buy property, makes it hard. So they want us to be renters, not owners. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
One more time, Mike.
LBP. One more time. One more time. What's going on, man?
I just want to call in again, Mike, if you don't mind, about this
go ahead, boss.
Refinance.
Yep, give it to us.
Okay, one thing, if the dollar hyperinflates, real estate's never going to go down. So don't listen to anybody that's telling you that garbage. Okay, and number two, if you're going to refinance, find out how much your closing costs are and how long is it going to take to recoup your loss as far as the savings on the lower APR. And if it's like 10, 15 years out, it's not even worth it. That's all I got to say, Mike.
Hey, good point. Hey, thanks for calling in because you recently did all that. Right. So I appreciate you, man.
All right.
Be good. Yeah. LBP, TBIC smiling out there. One more gear. Let's keep it moving. So here, let me share some other more stories out here. Let me see if I got another story that I think is worth bringing to your attention, just because it plays into the current narrative. Once I can find it, let me go. Hello, caller. Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. This is Crazy Truth, the controversial one. I'm calling in from northern Idaho. The reason why I'm calling in is because I know I've been posting a lot about not paying taxes and why not to pay taxes. And the thing is that once you realize what they're doing with the money that you've earned, the hard work that you put forth, people got to realize you're funding the demise not only of ourselves but our future of our children. Once you cut that funding off, then things start to change for the better. And the thing is, we know what they're doing with the money. So why keep on feeding them? People live in fear when they pay taxes. And when you don't pay taxes, at least you live free to a certain degree and be ready to defend yourself. So once you know what they're doing with the money, you got to cut that life support off, because it's like a drug addict. You're keep feeding them, and they're going to continue to neglect the people, and now they've neglected future generations. I'll leave it as that. For all those in the community, I'm not talking down on no one. What I'm trying to do is wake people up to the reality of things. Don't live in fear. Trust in God, 100%. And He will deliver us when the 100%. Time comes.
Yeah, hey, man, I hear you. And I have my own personal opinions about that as well. I don't really talk about it much, but given the trajectory of the way events are unfolding, my suspicion that by next tax season, 2023, if the markets respond the way that people are predicting they will, based upon whether or not the Fed is able to control the narrative still, as well as the fact that if there's no new fresh stimulus passed no time soon, things are going to seize up. Credit markets going to seize up. Yada yada. So based upon those conditions, I don't think people are going to be in a position to pay taxes naturally. So I think there's going to be there's going to be a window of time where the typical tax season type of events won't be happening. And that's why I think as a part of the CBDC rollout next year, 2 years, it's already baked into the code to where they're going to remove taxes for you, because people are not going to be able to pay taxes if the currency's going through the haywire and jobs is a problem. Who's going to pay taxes then? So they're going to take it out automatically. So I think this next 2 year window, that's going to be probably baked into the cake, in my opinion.
Yeah, and another thing before I let you go, I know in the scriptures it says, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. But people got to realize that the scriptures have been tampered with when you dig deep into it with the Caesars back in the day, starting with the Flavians. And with that being said, who does it benefit when you pay taxes? It benefits them.
Yeah.
And therefore, when you think about all that put into play, it was designed long ago to distract the masses and to control the masses through their through their work and enslaving them in that form.
Right.
So when you think about all this, God does not help you wake up to the fact of the matter just because there's a purpose behind everything He has set in place, and only a certain few are going to wake up to it.
Right.
So when you think about it, if you stop feeding the drug addict the drugs, what happens? The drug addict goes cold turkey. And in this case, they are the drug addicts.
Yeah.
And the money with the taxes is their drug.
Right. But here's the thing, at the end of the day, they really don't need the taxes anyway, because they've already got the 21 missing trillion, and all the Federal Reserve can Federal Reserve can put some stuff on a ledger at the commercial bank, and so they don't really need it anyway. It's more so to keep us in check, so that we know who our overlords are with our time, energy, and effort. That's why they want our taxes, but they don't really need it because they already running a deficit. I don't know what the deficit numbers are now, but they already running a deficit. So tax revenue don't cover that. It just basically touches the interest, if that. So based upon what's coming in the future, I don't think they even give a care. It's more so they want to make sure the sheep stay in line, and that's a part of the whole tax strategy. So, but I hear you, man.
I get you, but keep up the good work. But other than that, my other alias name was Truth or Nothing. I had to come back in because they closed my other account on YouTube, so I had to come in as Crazy Truth. So they wouldn't let me come in as Truth. They wouldn't let me come in as Truth or Nothing. But the reason why I have Crazy Truth is because I do say a lot of crazy things, but they're factual.
Yeah.
They're not based on my own understanding. It's based on the facts of what you see out there, the evidence. So with the evidence, you got to call it for what it is. No sugarcoating. We know what they are. They're devil worshippers, or what else they may be.
Yeah.
But we know the truth. And it's not sugarcoated no more.
Right.
It's like trying to say good is evil and evil is good. Come on.
Good point, man. But hey, appreciate you, man. Let me get some more calls in, but good to hear from you, my man. Thank you.
Likewise, Mike. Take it easy, man. Thank you.
Hello, caller. Where you calling from? Hello?
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, Mike.
Steve, what's going on, my friend? How you doing?
I'll tell you what's going on, Mike. $5.60. $5.60 per gallon.
Yeah. So the picture you sent is that's from the pump when you got some gas.
No, my son just went in to buy a thing of water. We fill up at Costco.
Yeah.
But if you zoom in on it, it's $5.60 for unleaded. Costco was $5.08. But the attendant told my son at Chevron that it's gonna go up to $7 think he said within a month or so, something like that. That's what the attendant told my son when he was inside.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's all I got, man. 560.
Yeah, that's going, and it's definitely going to put a damper on a lot of plans. You know, when the weather turns, you know, travel plans, stuff like that. That's going to slow the economy down even more. So yeah, it's on the surface, there's no real good news out there other than the good news you create for yourself. So, but this is the time we're in. Embrace it and run with it.
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, it comes down to, like I told you before, there's only 2 times in history that I would have preferred to live. That's back when Jesus was walking the earth.
Yeah.
And today, in these times.
Right.
That might sound crazy to others, but we get to see this firsthand, and that Bible is telling us what's coming. So we're not supposed to be running away from it, getting scared.
Yeah.
We're supposed to just be, telling others about Jesus.
100%, man.
So that's all I have, bro.
Appreciate you, my man. Thanks for calling in.
Keep doing what you're doing.
For sure. Be good. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Blaze from Metro Detroit.
What's going on, my man? Give me a quick thought. What's on your mind?
I just want to say, hey, Mike, it's a good thing seeing you on lots of TV and everything, and I appreciate what you're doing around here.
Thank you,
my friend. I want to say hi. That's it.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in and checking in. Fellow Michigander out there. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you.
You have a good day.
All right, be good. Yeah. Very, very, very interesting times we're in, but yet there is good news on top of that. It is the good news itself. And let me grab this article here. I wanted to make sure I bring this to your guys' attention real quick because this is different, but yet timely. Florida to advise against the current health experimentation for healthy kids, contradicting the CDC. So that's definitely some good news, because if you're healthy, you're in good shape, why would you need to participate in the first place? Other than the fact that the goal was to get as many people tagged and trackable and make them traceable, so that whatever the next agenda will be, we'll find out. But yet, once again, this is a whole other subject line. Of course, with the Pfizer documentations, I hear more stuff is coming out. And so spring, summer, we're going to find out the consequences for those that bought into the narrative and the lies, and let God do his work with that, man. But all right, people, we are approaching that 47-minute mark. As always, it's good to connect. Lots of things happening, but ultimately, the timing of everything is right here for a reason. If you're in tune to what's going on, if you're awake and aware, that you got a part to play in all this. And so it's never been more important, man, to check in and get your instructions from the good Lord to find out what your part is in the bigger plan of things for his kingdom. And of course, it starts with prayer. We got to spend more time in prayer, definitely for our fellow brothers and sisters here as well as abroad. And on top of the stories we're being presented with, no doubt the persecution of the church is still happening like never before, because just looking around at society and how there's no moral, social, or even there's no more compass. There's no filters to anything. Anything goes now. So this world is definitely trending down faster than ever, on top of all the financial and the monetary things we talk about. So never better time, man, to stay prayed up. And of course, along the way, from a financial standpoint, get your weight up and all the other preparations that you would need for an event as such as we're experiencing now. But ultimately, put your trust in the Lord, because he's a true sustainer and provider. So anyway, people, be blessed, be safe. Back at it again tomorrow, Lord willing. Be blessed, be safe. And as always, for those plugged in, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, show your support for the channel. Hit the bell notification if you want to join in and connect in the community, as well as get a chance to call in, let your voice be heard. Join all of the social media platforms down below: Discord, Telegram, share articles, share videos, and whatnot. Keep us all informed. And other than that, enjoy the rest of your day. Peace. Visit Rethinking the Dollar throughout the day, your place for news on metals, gold, crypto, you name it. Scroll down to the bottom and you get a chance to see the daily videos, the recommended videos, and more importantly, the 5 reasons to unplug from the monetary matrix, with the first one being the awakening period. Step number 1, test your dollar IQ. 10 simple questions, average is 60%, followed up with the alternative perspective with the monetary reports. Consider becoming a supporter of the Rethinking the Dollar platform via Patreon. Get a chance to hang out off air as well as additional information that can't be discussed on YouTube. Any support is helpful. With the crackdown on alternative media, the best thing to do is to connect off air. Scroll down to the very bottom. You can find Rethinking the Dollar on Telegram, Audio, Facebook, Twitter, Parler, you name it. The most important ones will be the email list where you can get notified weekly, the Discord page, and make sure you connect on Telegram. And last, don't forget to visit the RTD store where you can get merchandise as well as additional information and resources. And most importantly, scroll down to the bottom and get your weight up with all the limited edition rounds only available on the RTD store.